tonight.
I'd like to think that we saved the best for last, but you'll be the judge of that. Andrea Erzberger was an educational leader. She worked for the Palo Alto District for about 25 years. During that time, she worked both at the school level and at the national level. She was a leader actually in the national AAPT and sat on the board of the curriculum group of the AAPT. And her focus was always on trying to make physics more engaging, more exciting, and more accessible to students. So her passion was her students, and her passion was physics and physics education. And to that end, she inspired many, many students, and I like to think that, I like to flatter myself to imagine that in a way that I was her Padawan, and tried to learn a lot from her. So she was a true inspiration. To that end, just before she passed some years ago, she set up a scholarship fund with a fairly significant scholarship award for students who are planning on going into physics or physics-related career or course of study. And I think that she would be extremely pleased that this year, not only do we have an excellent candidate who has excelled in physics, but also a young woman. And to introduce her, I'll hand the mic over to Mike Stern.
So the recipient of our award tonight is going to be Sarah Hale. The first time I met Sarah was actually in the summer. Before classes had started, I was a new hire, just gotten here, kind of getting settled in the desk. And she and one of her friends, Marina Knittel, came and introduced themselves to me very, very enthusiastically. And none of that enthusiasm has waned over the course of the year. The more that I learned about Sarah, the more outstanding she appeared. Throughout the year, in addition to performing admirably in our very difficult class, she has also been co-president of the Physics Club, in which she presented lectures on trivial topics like relativity. She's also been working on a science research project through Mr. Bell's class, where she's been developing new materials with the hope of someday being able to build permanent structures on the moon. And the one time that she complained in class was when I put up an equation on the board and I was trying to explain, like in English, what the equation actually meant. And she looked at me, she's like, Mr. Stern, why are you talking when the happy equation is right there next to you? So I can't think of a better recipient for this award. Let's all welcome Sarah.
Just so you know, I think that the award is a $2,500 check. It's a $2,500 check, so it's a fairly significant thing. Again, I'd say that Andy would have been really, really pleased to see a student like Sarah, a young woman who is interested in going into physics, receive the award. So another round of applause.